peace with Egypt was signed in 1979 after Sadat realized that Israel is invincible. They failed, the Egyptians and the Arabs failed in 1948. They failed in 1956. They failed in 1967. Even 1973, the Yom Kippur War. Although they started with a big surprise to Israel, Israel succeeded to turn the whole table on their heads, and he understood that Israel is invincible. So he gave us peace. This is the only reason. Not because he loved us, and he needed also the European money.
So are you saying then that basically Israel, the Jewish people, have to understand that they're living in a siege state? In other words, the mentality of, so to speak, let's say in Japan, where they had to be the samurai, so to speak, we also produce our samurais, whereby we have to have unfortunately, a military society that has to withstand this cultural aspect of deterrent or extermination, or neither.
No, I'm not saying military society. I'm not talking about Sparta. I'm talking about Athens, which knows how to defend itself, and when needed, it becomes a Sparta. This is what I mean. And when needed means that everybody is trained, everybody knows what to do, everybody has his duty, he knows his duty, and everybody is motivated to go and to sacrifice his time and maybe his life as well in order to save the state and the nation. If this exists, our neighbors will make peace with us not because they love us or because we gave concessions. They will give us peace because they have no other choice.
And I must say, I'm very impressed the way you presented it in terms of Israel being the modern Athens, not being Sparta. We will not use military means to become a military society in terms of an ends to itself, but rather it will be like Athens and we use military means to protect our democracy. How then can those who are Arabs, who live in the West, who learn democracy and so forth, how can they influence people around the world, and especially in the Middle East, to change their minds or to understand that there has to be another way, if it's possible?
Well, you actually relate to the Arab intellectuals, those who lived in the West, learned in the West, and internalized the values of the West and the means of how to live in the West and how to solve problems in the West and all these things. Many Arabs who through the years, and I'm talking about since the beginning of the 19th century, when Muhammad Ali in Egypt already sent people to Europe to learn about technology, engineering, metallurgy, physics, mathematics, architecture, and they learned all these things which they were supposed to learn and to bring to Egypt. But not only this, they also learned about the European societies, the European governments, and how the arts are in Europe, and they definitely wanted to bring these things also, how the lifestyle of Europe is and how it can be imported to the Arab world and the Islamic world as well. While physics, mathematics, engineering, they succeeded to bring, they in most cases failed, especially in the beginning of the 19th century, to bring the new ideas of how to run a society in the East. Means people were more ready to buy from Europe the ideas of metallurgy and engineering, but they were very reluctant to adopt the values of Europe, especially permissiveness, as came later, and materialism, democracy, and so forth. Those who live in the West definitely internalized the values of the West, but they are viewed in many cases as ambassadors of a culture which we in the East do not want, because this culture of the West is corrupt, is permissive, is addicted either to alcoholic beverages or to drugs, is materialistic, anti-religious, as in France is laïcité, means the secularism, and it's individualistic, it's against the family, it's against family values. So who wants this filth which defines or describes today the West? So this is why cultural issues are viewed in totally different way compared to technical issues, which the East is much more ready to adopt from the West. When it comes to changing the ways of behavior, especially of women and girls, it is actually total failure to adopt the Western values. Europeans in general envy Israel. What do I mean? Israel is a state of a nation, a real nation state. The modern European nation state failed to protect the nation from the invasion of other culture. This is why you see so many parliaments today in Europe vote for the establishment of a Palestinian state. The parliaments. Why? Because those parliament members want to be re-elected by the constituencies which become more and more Islamic.